It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And well, joining us now, you guys, here on Katz and Cosby, we have the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Newt, it's great to have you here. Your reaction, first of all, to the debate.
Well, before that, I just have to say, when I saw that Cuomo is considering running for mayor, it just gave me a whole sense of how deep the ethics problems in New York State are. If you think that, given Cuomo's background, that's going to clean up the mayor's office, I mean, it's an astonishing process. Look, I think the debate was pretty clear. Frank Luntz had a focus group, and of 12 people, 10 thought that J.D. Vance had won. And of the 10, 7 had switched to be, these were all undecided. 7 had switched to be for Trump by the end of the debate. Now that to me is a pretty good indicator. And I just did a podcast that we're going to release in a day or two at Newt's World with the former Republican Senate leader in Minnesota who just wrote a book on Tim Walz. And from having personally served with him for years, knows him and all that, and I mean, Walz is in so far over his head that, it's really the idea that he could end up being president should scare everybody. But then, of course, the idea that Kamala could end up being president should scare everybody. I mean, surely we should know by now, between the Middle East, Ukraine, Taiwan, the drug problems and the open border, the fact that we've had 15,000 murderers and 25,000 sex offenders and about 600,000 criminals cross the border illegally. I mean, somewhere in there, people have to say, these guys just can't do it. I mean, they're not competent. And you're going to see that in North Carolina when they cannot get the things that they should get as rapidly as they should get them. They're already about 4 days or 5 days behind where they should be in getting help to the people in the mountains. And it's just because they can't run a system.
I mean, and nothing's going to change if Kamala Harris gets elected. I mean, is the border going to change? No. Is the fentanyl coming through the borders? No. Is the migrants coming through? No. It's just, don't people realize it when they're saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris?
My hunch is that if Kamala Harris wins, everything will get worse, not better. It's not that it won't change. The border will be more open. The drugs will be coming in more. Our position in foreign policy will be more dangerous. And people need to understand, we could slide into a really big war if we're not careful. I mean, when you have conflict with Russia, you have conflict with Iran, you have the Chinese watching, looking how weak Biden and Harris are, and considering taking over Taiwan, which produces about 70% of the world's computer chips. And then, of course, you got North Korea, which is a wild card in and of itself, with a whole lot of nuclear weapons and a dictatorship that none of us understand. It may not, frankly, be understandable. This is a dangerous world that needs a very calm, very steady, mature person dealing with it. And
we got war skirmishes. We have war skirmishes all over the place. We have 400 ships between China and Russia. We're circling, not circling, but off the coast of Alaska. 400 ships.
Well, look, I think what you have, really for the first time since World War II, is you have a real alliance. It's an alliance of dictators. Right now it's basically Russia, China, North Korea, Iran are the key players. And they are consistently opposed to the United States, and they want to find a way to beat us if they can. And it's the most dangerous the world's been since about 1938, when we were sliding into World War II. And I think people need to understand, we don't get strong leadership, and we don't rebuild the economy, and we don't rebuild our military. We're going to be in enormous trouble in the next 3 or 4 years.
You know, Newt Gingrich, too. Sorry, as we were just talking about this alliance, you brought up China and North Korea. What did you make of the fact last night? And we were just talking with Rudy and the judge and John here about the question was posed to Tim Walz, but it was more on the misspeaking element. But the fact remains he was there up to reports up to 30 times in China. And he seems to be an appeaser of China. He continues to be an appeaser of China. It wasn't really hit on, obviously, by the moderators in that forum last night. But your thoughts of what a concern that is, given what you just were talking about?
Well, look, I think you have to start with the idea that Walz is probably to the left of Bernie Sanders. So Walz wants to, he wants to appeal to everybody. He was very worried last night that we might use language about illegal immigrants that was too strong. He's very worried about having a relationship with Xi Jinping and making sure that the Chinese communists know that we like them. He's very concerned that the Israelis not be too aggressive in dealing with Iran. I mean, every time you turn around, you're going to find that Walz is a classic left-winger who wants to apologize for America. He wants to appease our enemies, and he hopes everybody can make nice. I always tell people, these kind of left-wingers saw The Lion King and thought it was a documentary, and they actually believe lions and zebras sing and dance together. And when we try to convince them the world's dangerous and lions eat zebras, they go, no, didn't you see the movie? What's wrong with you? So they really wanted, the Israelis to put up with Hamas, put up with Hezbollah, put up with the Houthis, put up with Iran. And they have no notion of how to deal with somebody who's as much of a thug as Putin is. And that's where having Donald Trump, who's very tough, as you guys know, because you know him.
Yep.
I mean, Trump is quite capable of standing up to anybody on the planet. And I think that we would be dramatically safer almost overnight if he won the election.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. We need strength right now. Everybody, we're talking to the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Rudy, Washington, go ahead real quick.
Newt, I was just going to say, we're at war already and people don't even realize it. They've killed a couple of 100,000 of our young people with fentanyl without firing a bullet. Harris and Biden, Harris and Walz believe in legalizing all drugs, all illicit drugs. I mean, I just can't imagine it.
Well, I think you're right. And when you realize that every year we lose twice as many people to fentanyl as we lost in the 8 years of the Vietnam War. Every year we lose twice as many people as we lost. And, I think a serious regime would say to the Chinese, if you don't stop producing all the materials, we will have 100% tariff on everything. Your economy will collapse, and we're going to cut off everything. And I'd say the same thing to the Mexicans. Mexico right now is a narco state. The cartels have enormous power. The Mexican government is afraid to take them on. And I think we have to be very tough and very direct. And we have to be prepared to recognize that the cartels kill more Americans than any terrorist group in the world. And we need to deal with them accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Newt Gingrich, we love you. Thank you for being with us, Newt. Always give our best to Callista, too, please.
We'll do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.